morning, everybody. Hey, folks, how you doing? Dave McCrae here. It is Tuesday, August the 8th, 2020, 11:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is episode 90 of MCRAE Live. I am coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada, and today I want to talk about Halloween 5, but this time I want to talk about some of the things that I actually like. That's too strong of a word. That's way too strong of a word. This is going to be fun, folks. This is going to be fun. And I was thinking about something had reminded me of this movie the other day, and I thought, I am going to see if I can because you often hear me say that I think Halloween 5 is, I don't know if I've ever said Halloween 5 is the worst in the franchise. I would have to take a moment and think about that because I take these things very seriously. But I have always said that when you look at the Halloween franchise as a franchise, Halloween 5 is the catalyst that destroyed the franchise. Now, there have been people that have said, and rightly so, I agree actually with what they're saying, that you could point to Halloween 2 as really the catalyst that destroyed the franchise because the original intent of the character was supposed to be a one-off movie. So you could, in theory, point to Halloween 2 and say, well, this is where all the problems began. All the problems began with Halloween 2 because you introduced the brother-sister story arc. He became more, there was more blood. There was, I get what you're saying. And from a certain point of view, you can do that. But Halloween 2 was supposed to end Michael Myers as we know it, which is why John Carpenter, of course, killed him at the end of that movie, wrote him to die, because the original intent was to move to the anthology route. You've heard me say this, right? That was what they were going to do. So Michael did die in that movie. There was no question about it. He did die in that movie. When you watch Halloween 1 and 2 as sort of a one thing, he is dead. That was the intent. The intent was not, well, he's mid. No. He is dead. If the anthology route had been successful, if the anthology route had taken off, if Halloween 3 had done very well, if Halloween 3 had been the catalyst for more anthology films within the Halloween universe, the last time we saw Michael Myers, the last time even today that we would have ever have seen Michael Myers may have been Halloween 2 from 1981. And I personally would have been okay with that, because who knows what awesome anthology movies we may have gotten that maybe would have spawned a few of their own sequels. Who knows, right? So that was the original intent. But when we look at, of course, the franchise, as when they solidified, no, Michael was definitely going to, he's going to come back and this is going to be it. And he was going to be just basically like everybody else. It's 5 that was the catalyst that destroyed everything, because 4 was a decent sequel. I mean, it's not, when I say decent, it was a decent return. It was an acceptable return. The mask was, but certainly it was acceptable. And of course, it had that iconic ending. 5 is the one that ruined everything, because if it wasn't for 5, you wouldn't have gotten 6. And not that there's not some nice things in 6 in terms of the execution of the production value and the cinematography and the mood and the atmosphere. Sure, yeah, that's nice. That's better than 5. But certainly the story is just a dog shit story. And I don't care if you're watching the producer's cut or the theatrical cut, it's garbage. Absolute garbage. But Dave! Anyway, so, and then of course, the 6 is like, what do you do? And then they did H2O. And H2O was like Michael Myers walked onto the set of Dawson's Creek. I just think it's terrible. And then, of course, you have Resurrection because of H2O. And then you have Rob Zombie's 1 and 2 because of Resurrection. I mean, you can point back to 5. You can go back to 5 and go, well, this is, if 5 had been really good, if 5 had been even as like a 4, and they hadn't introduced all this, I mean, who knows where we might be? I mean, again, the longer you go on in a series, it's inevitable that you're going to find yourself right back where you started in terms of having dog shit movies. You can only make these things go on for so long until they become shitty. I mean, that's just, but it would have been interesting. I've often thought, what if 5 had been really good? What if part 5 had been actually pretty good, or at least as good as 4, right? Not 1, not 2, but good, fine. You're like, oh, it was all right. It's pretty good. And listen, some of you out there are going, yeah, but I really like it. I do think it's actually pretty good. I like it. What do you? That's fine. It's for it. But the general consensus is, I believe, if you were to take a poll, the general consensus is that 5 is dog shit. I'm just saying. Now, whether it's worse than Resurrection or Resurrection is worse than 5, I mean, that could be up for debate. But nonetheless, it is no secret that I loathe Halloween 5 for all the reasons you've heard me talk about on this channel. You've heard me talk about this many times on this channel. But you also have heard me say in the same breath, you've heard me say, there's things in Halloween 5 that I enjoy. I can find things in a Halloween movie or in a bad movie. I mean, most bad movies have, well, unless you're the Star Wars Holiday Special, but most movies that you don't like, if you really sat, and looked, usually have some form of redeeming quality. There's something, right? And I often say, well, that's a nice shot. I like that shot. I like that moment. I like that moment. Or, I like that moment in that scene. Or maybe even, I like that scene. I like that scene. In a vacuum, I like this, right? You can usually find things that are, it's fine, in a vacuum, right? I mean, when you think about it next to the context of everything else going on, I mean, because everything else around it is such dog shit, it kind of, who cares at the end of the day, right? Who gives a shit? But if you just take it as is at face value in terms of that one little moment or that one little scene, it's not bad. So you've heard me kind of say that, in terms of Halloween 5, right? So I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the things that I enjoyed in Halloween 5, albeit there's not a lot of them, but talk about some of the things that I enjoyed in Halloween 5. Now, this video is not to be mistaken as Dave likes Halloween 5, because I don't. But here are some things that I was like, yeah, that's a nice moment. You know what I mean? And I want you guys in the chat room, if you are big Halloween 5 fans, you in the chat room, tell me what you love about Halloween 5. Or in the comment section below, tell me what you love about Halloween 5. Or if you are like me and most people, and the general consensus is that you don't like Halloween 5, why don't you tell me, but maybe there's some redeeming qualities, like maybe you're like me, where you're like, well, I think the movie's dog shit, but I like that shot, or I like that moment, or I like that scene, or I like when he does this, or, whatever the case is, right? Comment below and let me know what it is, even though you think the movie's, you know what I'm saying? But I like this. Like, that had potential. I'd like to know that too. And in the chat room as well. Feel free to do that in the chat room and talk amongst each other. Yeah, Cookie Woman, says Jake V. Cookie Woman. It's on here. It's my number one. No. But certainly talk amongst yourselves in the chat room and let me know. Where did I put this now? Oh Lordy, where did we go here? I kind of remembered off the top of my head, but let me see if I can get the, this is a big, I have a lot of notes in here. By the way, there will not be a MCRAE Live on Thursday, just to let you know, for two reasons. I have a doctor's appointment during the time that I normally do it. No, that's not it. That's a I think that's a Rise of Skywalker note. I see the word Snoke here. Yeah. It's where I keep all my notes. And also, Bruce and I are getting together on Thursday because we're starting the shot list for It's Me, Billy. We are beginning the shot list for It's Me, Billy. So that will definitely take up a lot of time. So yes, there will not be a... Here it is. There will not be a MCRAE Live on Thursday. I'll be back Friday morning, of course, at 11 a.m. Just to give you, I'm just giving you guys a heads up. I'll make an announcement for it though. So I have that in the morning, and then of course Bruce is coming over, and we're diving into the shot list. By the way, folks, It's Me Billy campaign again is live right now. Still lots of perks available. We've just crossed $41,000 Canadian, which is amazing. It would be great, as I've said, if we can get to 50,000 by the end of the month when the campaign ends. The link to the Indiegogo campaign is in the description. Anything you guys can help, even donations. You can donate as little as like $1 or $2, you know. So I'm going to be talking about this a lot over the next couple of weeks as we hit the home stretch here. So be prepared for that. But again, thank you to everybody already who has donated, contributed, bought some perks. Really appreciate it. Bruce and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts so much. You are helping to make this high production value fan film a reality. And we are very, very excited. So again, really appreciate it. Link to the Indiegogo campaign in the description. Anything you guys can help out with is greatly appreciated. I'll mention it again towards the end of the show. Okay, so here we go. This is some of the things that there's not a lot of them, folks. There's not a lot of them. But these are off the top of my head when I think of Halloween 5. I mean, look, after I say these things, you might say something in the chat room. You might say something below where I might go, oh, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, okay, yeah. You know, but these are the 5 that immediately come to my mind. So that's how you know that they really do resonate with me. Right? You know, and that I don't have to think too hard about it. If I have to think for 40 minutes about something I liked in a movie, I probably didn't like it as much as I'm pretending or saying that I do, because it has to be immediate, right? You got, oh yeah, I like that. And these are sort of 5 things that always immediately come to my mind when I think about things that I actually enjoyed with Halloween 5. So here they are, in no particular order really, but Halloween. But number 5, here we go. Number 5, and again, I don't like everything about this, but I like the idea of this. I think I like the idea of it, but I don't like the characters, and I don't like it's just, but I like the idea, is the barn scene, right? At the party, in the barn scene, when Michael is in the shadows and, he comes out and he kills, the pitchfork and all that kind of, I mean, I enjoy that scene because it's allowing Michael the opportunity to be the boogeyman. Like we see Michael a lot in broad daylight in this movie. And, there's that awful scene when what's her face there is, they're walking amongst they're walking outside, right? And you see Michael in the background just kind of lurking under the bushes or in the trees. He's just kind of walking around. Like, it just looks so like Don Shanks is just waiting for his cue. It's just, it's terrible. It's terrible. But anyway, this is a scene that actually allows you to play with light and shadow and dark corners. And, it allows for the character to be a little Michael-ish, even though the scene overall is missed opportunities. But I like the idea. Like, whenever it gets to that part of the movie, I'm like, oh, like there's some potential here. I like this dark barn, and it's at night, and they're going out to make love like you do in a slasher movie, and he's lurking in the shadows, and like it has potential. It has potential. And there's a few nice moments with him and his mask kind of in the dark corner, whatever. It's a dog shit mask, but you know what I'm saying. The character I quite like. Again, this is in no particular order. Number 4, I like, this is something that I bet you a lot of people are like, oh, I never would have thought of that. But again, this is sort of maybe the sound designer in me. I like at the very end of the movie, the final frame of the movie, when Jamie, I actually quite like, I hate the Man in Black, of course, as we know, I don't need to go into why. But I do like, again, in a vacuum, when you think of these things in a vacuum, they're kind of cool to a degree. When Jamie walks back into the police station after hearing everything going down, and she's walking down those dark, fiery, glowy lit halls, where all the police officers are dead, right? And she's walking down those halls, and she's picture that in a really good Halloween movie. Take that out and put it in my sequel concept idea for Halloween 2018, right? I think I had something like that. You take that out and you put it against something that's actually really good, and it can be creepy, right? It can be kind of creepy. So I always really enjoyed the look of that final 30 seconds, when she's walking through and, the camera work is eerie. There's a little bit of suspense there, and it's kind of like, oh, this is eerie. This is kind of cool, like what the fuck went down here? Like, holy shit, right? Kind of cool. But the fact that it's also at the hands of the man in black pisses me off, because every time I watch that scene, I'm like, well, who the fuck is this guy? It kind of pisses me off. But again, I like certain moments there. I like the look of it and the idea of her walking and coming across this carnage. You know what I mean? I enjoy that. And then the one thing I really like about that, which is really the thing I like about it, is the final frame, really, when she's like, no, and then it echoes off, right? They trail off in an echo as they cut to black and the theme begins to play. I like that. I like that no, and then no, and it fades off, and then it, I like that. I've always really enjoyed that. And then it plays the theme. I'm not crazy on the rendition of the theme. I think if you were to put another version of that theme in there, I think it would be stronger and better. But certainly it's, it is what it is and it's fine. So I always really enjoyed that last frame there. Really enjoyed that. I like that. But again, it could be the sound designer in me, because obviously I work with sound every day. So really like that. Number three, the opening credits. Some people have asked me, is that supposed to be Michael carving a pumpkin, and leaving it on the side of the road or something like that? It's like, no, it's not. It's just a artsy fartsy way of opening the movie. It's a Halloween movie, and they open the movie with this cool, ominous pumpkin carving with this butcher knife. But Alan Howarth's score, again, is good. It's ominous, it's creepy. It feels very much like Halloween 4, which is a better movie than 5. So through the score, you do feel that continuity. You do feel kind of like, oh, this is, so I've always enjoyed the opening credits. And, it is funny, people do point this out, but the opening credits don't say Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Has anybody ever noticed that? It just says Halloween 5. It doesn't say Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. It just says Halloween 5. But nonetheless, I have always enjoyed that opening. But that's not supposed to be Michael carving a pumpkin. It's not supposed to be anybody carving a pumpkin. It's just some sort of, it's a metaphor. You know what I mean? It's used as sort of a, the intensity for which the pumpkin's being carved. Or who knows? Maybe that is him carving the pumpkin up at the hermit's place. I mean, maybe he was doing that and he was like, there you go, man. There you go. I carved you a pumpkin now. Do you mind if I sleep for a year? No, you go ahead and sleep for a year. You just lie down on the concrete slab and sleep for an entire fucking year without shitting or peeing or eating. You go right ahead. Anyway, there we go. So I've always enjoyed the opening credits. As Aaron Click there says, it's symbolic, and that is correct. Number 2 is Michael. I just have these little things here. Michael into the woods. So what I always liked is I always liked the moment when after the car chase scene, when they've all, the cops all leave or whatever, or everybody leaves, and Dr. Loomis is left standing with the headlights on the car and just staring off into the bushes, into the woods. And now you'll come, won't you, Michael? Or whatever he says, right? And I always enjoy, most scenes, because this is a moment in the movie where Loomis is not batshit crazy and he's not completely inebriated and drunk. And like, you know where he is, don't you? You know, Dr. Loomis! Dr. Loomis! This is, he's being... It's very much like the moment in Halloween 4 when Dr. Loomis, stops off at the gas station there, and he sees Michael, and he's like, "Leave those people in peace. God damn you!" It's similar in that, is that Loomis he feels somewhat normal, and he's being Loomis, And there are some nice lines. There are some nice lines in Halloween 5, like I pray that hell or the hell would take him, but hell would not have him, or whatever that line is there. That's on my list too. I think it's a good line. In a vacuum, it's a good line. Just too bad it's in a dog shit movie. But I did enjoy that. I like that he's staring off into the woods and he's talking to Michael, but we don't see Michael. We never see him sort of, pop out of the bushes or, it's nice. He's out there. We know he's out there. Loomis knows he's out there. And it's a nice moment. Again, like 10 seconds is like, oh, I like that. I like that. That's cool. I didn't like everything that led up to it. And I don't really like anything after that because the house literally looks nothing like the Myers house. Freeze frame that for your yeah. And then included in that, of course, as I said, is the hell would not have him line. What's that line again? The chat room will let me know what that line is, but that's a good line. I like that line. I like that line a lot. Michael staring off into the woods and things like that. And of course, that line, it's like an A-B for that. And then the last thing that I like, again, these are off the top of my head that I can think of, again, you might list something below or in the chat room and be like, oh, what about this, Dave? And I'll be like, oh yeah, that. And I'm like, yeah. That's all right. But it must not be something I really like or really enjoyed, or not that there's anything in this movie I really liked or enjoyed, but you know what I'm saying. So, laundry chute would be my, number one would be my laundry chute, the laundry chute scene. I think that was, and I think most people who don't like Halloween 5 actually like that scene. It's different. It's something we haven't seen before. Obviously, there is, we know that Michael originally stabbed Jamie in the leg, which is why when she comes out of the laundry chute, you see her leg is all messed up, even though we didn't see that happen in the laundry chute. That was cut out. And it's okay that we see that, because who's to say that she didn't cut her leg on something sharp in the laundry chute, or, I mean, who knows? Like, she was, falling, climbing up, the knife might have grazed her and we didn't see it. Like, that's not a big deal to me. But certainly I love the idea of that. I think the claustrophobic nature of this, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, however old she's supposed to be in the movie, girl in this little laundry chute, and Michael is in the basement stabbing, the butcher knife into the laundry chute, I think was cool. Again, in a vacuum, I'm like, yeah, I like that scene. That's actually kind of cool. I love the perspective when she falls and the camera, goes down the chute and we see Michael, we see his face and he's reaching at the camera like that, but he goes far away, right? Because, we're falling. Really like that perspective. That was a great camera trick. And really enjoyed that perspective of her falling. It's probably, like I said, even Halloween 5 absolute haters like me. No, but I mean, maybe even more than me. I mean, maybe these 5 or 6 things that I've said here, there are some people in this world, which I'm sure, that be like, I don't give a fuck about that. I think it's dog shit. 100%. I mean, I know it's hard to believe that there might be some people out there that hate Halloween 5 more than me, but it's true. And, but I give credit where credit is due. I'm not somebody that just likes, I mean, yes, I know how to stir the pot, and certainly I can be theatrical and, for the sake of being theatrical and having fun and entertainment and stuff. But I will always give credit where credit is due. And this is something that those are some things that I enjoyed in Halloween 5. And again, when I say enjoyed, I mean in that vacuum where it's like, I like that shot. I like that moment. I like the way that scene is lit there. I like the camera work on this. That's really nice. It's things like that. And usually in the worst movies, I can usually always find things that I can find some sort of redeeming quality that I enjoy. But it certainly is difficult with Halloween 5. And, if you guys like this kind of thing, maybe I'll do it with Halloween H2O, because I'm not a big fan of that movie. Maybe I'll do it with Halloween Resurrection. Maybe I'll do it with Rob Zombie's 1 and 2. Because I don't like either of those movies. It's always fun to challenge yourself. And when you are such a vocal, I don't want to say hater, because I don't think hater's the right word, because hater to me, if you're just classified as a hater, it means it can be unfounded, or you're just hating for the sake of hate. I could get into great detail and tell you why Halloween 5, is dog shit, and use examples that that will probably make you think, so it's not just about hating. It's always about being able to back up what you say and being able to, people may not agree with you, but you can at least, you can quantify, you can measure, you can put your reasoning up against, a test, and they're not unfounded. It's very founded. It's logical. It's thought out. And I'm okay with that. Like if somebody says to me, I hate the original Halloween, let's say, right? But they come to me with very well thought out, reasons as to why, that's great, but if it's just no, it's fucking dog shit, which you hear me say a lot, of course, because it's, but I have a lot of videos on my channel where I dive into it, right? But if somebody just says, no, it's garbage. Well, what don't you like about it? I just fucking hate it. No, but what, specifically don't you like about it? No, I just fucking hate it. I hate it. It's like, it just feels like it's hate for hate, right? But anyway, yeah, comment below and let me know if you're watching after the fact, because I don't think you can comment live. I don't think so in the comments. I think you got to wait till after. But certainly let me know if you're watching this after the fact, what you like about Halloween 5, or if you are a Halloween loather like me, what sort of things in there did you actually go, what, that's not bad. Like, it's too bad that they didn't expand on that or whatever the case is, right? The worst thing about 5 really is, well, I'm not going to turn this into a worst thing, but okay. I got to calm down because it's very easy. It's very easy to dive into the, Halloween 5 loathing. And that's not what this video was supposed to be. But yeah, chat room, let me know your thoughts. Comment below and let me know your thoughts, what you think. Let's move over to seeing what you guys are talking about, seeing what your super chats are. Several came in. Intel Wild sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Intel. And says, sometimes I feel Dave does these kinds of shows just to keep us around. No, not at all. Not at all. I do these because sometimes I think of ideas like, what, that's interesting. I should challenge myself on that, because I'm always talking one perspective, but there are a lot of people out there that really do like Halloween 5. I don't know anybody off the top of my head, and I don't know if there's anybody watching right now in the chat room, but there are people out there. I would imagine there's probably somebody out there where Halloween 5 is their favorite Halloween, right? So sometimes, I do these videos to challenge myself to see what, what do I like about this? What is it that what sort of redeeming qualities can I like? And because I'm such a vocal, loather of Halloween 5, sometimes it's nice to let you guys know what I do like about it, or moments I like and things like that. So it's kind of fun because it challenges you, right? It forces you to be honest and open, rather than just doing what you said there, right? I know you're kind of saying that in jest, but it's true. It's true. Rio Reveal sends in a $5 super chat, says, "Hi Dave, would you bring the It's Me Billy calling? Oh, the It's Me I see. The It's Me Billy calling perk back. Very interested, or will there be any other perks added? Can't wait for the next Billy-a-thon." The Billy phone call, the Billy's calling perk, which is a phone that you get a phone with it. Probably not. They are, they're expensive to replicate. And of course you got to factor shipping and all that, and packaging and all that kind of stuff. And we wanted to make them very special. So probably not. Will there be other perks? We have some ideas, late in the game perks. There's nothing major, but we have a couple of things that we might add late in the game, to maybe help, generate a bit of revenue that way. Like I said, I'm seeing Bruce on Thursday. The vast majority of our meeting, because we're seeing each other Thursday and Saturday, because we really gotta get this shot list done. But every time I get together with Bruce, there's always many things on the agenda that we talk about, and that will be one of the things that we talk about is the It's Me Billy-a-thon, which we do want to do at least one more. And then, of course, Tony and I are doing a double feature at the end of August as well for Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, where we're watching The Last House on the Left and the original Black Christmas, and all the super chats raised through that will go towards the campaign too. So, and then probably in the next 10 days or so, I will make an announcement, and you'll see the total raise from the first It's Me Billy-a-thon go into the Indiegogo campaign. So I'll keep you guys posted when that happens. I did see it come in. I got notified by Google AdSense today what the total will be. which is about $2,000. But I have to wait till that comes in, and then I can put it towards the campaign. So you will be notified when that happens. Chris Baber sends in a super chat, says, the mask was dog shit. It's like they didn't try. You know what? There are a lot of people out there that love that mask. They really do. They really do. But certainly I think the creme de la creme, the mask everybody really wants is the original mask. I mean, in the world of mask collecting, I do see H2O masks. I do see Resurrection masks and Halloween 4 masks and 5 masks. But I think we all can agree, those of you that collect Michael Myers masks and that are, in the mask collecting scene, you know as well as I do that the vast majority of people want that holy grail. They want that original mask, the look of that original mask, right? So, yeah, that's still the number one. But yeah, I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all. And what's, you see, here's the thing too, folks. You can not like the Halloween 4 mask, right? And I think this is why over the years, I don't like the Halloween 4 mask. I don't like it. But I think over the years, as I've reanalyzed, looked at things, and maybe even because of this YouTube channel, it's grown on me a little bit. And this is why. The Halloween 4 mask, yes, doesn't look anything like the original mask. But if we want to, and it's just a movie, of course, but if you want to help yourself to think of things that would logically explain things, it's been 10 years. And what are the odds of Michael Myers walking into a store and finding the exact same mask, right? Probably highly unlikely. So he discovers a mask that looks, it is a Kirk mask, but obviously they didn't cut the, you guys know the story. But he finds a mask that looks similar, right? So instinctually he takes that mask, he puts it on. It doesn't look like the mask at all, but it's in the same vein. And I think, and again, in a vacuum, if you take the Halloween 4 mask and you put that mask in another movie, or you create, like, say there was no Halloween, it's still it's kind of a creepy mask. It is creepy in its own right. It's just when you compare it to the original mask, which is like, oh my God, amazing. It's a big step down. And of course, people are like, this feels weird. Like, this isn't the way Michael Myers looks. Like, what's going on here, right? It would be like Jason it would be like Jason wearing a goalie mask, but he's not wearing the classic goalie hockey mask that we know. He's wearing some other goalie mask, like some more modern goalie mask or something, right? It's like, well, yeah, it's a hockey mask, but that's not Jason, right? So that's how people feel about it. But it makes logical sense. But when you go from 4 to 5, that is supposed to be the same mask. The mask in Halloween 5 is supposed to be the same mask he wore in Halloween 4, and it literally looks nothing like it. So continuity, that just doesn't make any sense. What happened? Was there another mask in the mine shaft? And when he fell into the mine shaft, he was like, oh, well, that looks better. Took off that mask. Because when he goes into the mine shaft, he's wearing the Halloween 4 mask. When he comes out of the mine shaft, he's wearing the Halloween 5 mask. Like, what? Was there like a mask store in the Halloween 5? Or in the Halloween 5? In the mine shaft there, where there's like a creature going, hey, man, you want a new mask? I got a whole stash of masks here. Come on, take the mask. I'll sell it to you for $0.25. Come on. Is that what happened there? I don't know. Maybe it was. I have no idea. Yeah, Aaron Click says the old man was a mask man. Maybe he was. Maybe that's what was going on. I have no idea. I still think there was some weird creature in the mine shaft who had a coat full of masks. And when he came, he was like, come on, I'll sell you a mask. Which one do you want? I think that's what it was. And then Michael was like, oh, I'll take that one. I don't know why. Oh my God, somebody's got to animate that. That would be great. I'll voice it. You want it? Can you imagine? They show that. You want a mask? Oh, I can't take that one, boss. Yeah. It's like a Looney Tune cartoon. So I think that's why for me, the 4 mask was like, well, yeah, but okay. He didn't have a mask, so he chose that one, better that one than the others that were surrounding it. But yeah, the 5 mask, I was always like, wait a minute, that doesn't That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's supposed to be the same mask. That's so weird. But anyway, that's, masks are, crazy, man. Crazy. Cobra Dojo sends a £2 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, Harris, every bit as good as Barrymore. You mean like as a child actor? Because Danielle Harris, obviously, she's a fine actor. I mean, there's nothing wrong with her, but of course her career path has been very different than Drew Barrymore. But she was very good. I mean, yes, Danielle Harris was very good, but we also don't have a large sample size. And now, of course, she was in The Last Boy Scout, and she was in Daylight with Stallone, and she was in a couple other things that were, was fine. She was on Roseanne, of course, and she did well there. Yeah, she was a good actor, a good child actor. She was fine. She always sort of played the same roles. Like after Halloween 5, she always played the same kind of character, though. Always like a bad girl. She was a bad girl on Roseanne, and she was kind of that way in Daylight. And I think she was that way in Last Boy Scout, if I'm not mistaken. Chat room can let me know. I haven't seen that in a while. But she always kind of similar kind of characters, I think, anyway. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Certainly on Roseanne, she was that kind of character. But anyway, every bit as good as Barrymore. Yeah, maybe. Yep. Intel Wild, thank you, buddy. He says, hey, Dave, Saxon was going deep into the paint on that prequel storyline, huh? Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you guys want to hear John Saxon's prequel idea for a Elm Street film, a prequel to the original, I think it was my last MCRAE Live last week, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Crazy, man. That was wild. No pun intended. Intel Wild. Latrell316 sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you. Says, I don't like this entire movie, but I do love the final chase scene. Well, there you go. There's something right there, right? PC Pierce sends in a super chat. Thank you, PC. Says, would you rather have COVID for 14 days or be in quarantine with Tina for 14 days? I think I'll take Tina. I think I'll take being in quarantine. If I was single, I mean, I can tell you, Sucks Film sends in a €10 super chat. I think that's euros. Hey, Dave, what is your favorite final girl performance? For me, it's Olivia Hussey from the original Black Christmas scene. Scene where she is screaming for her friends at the bottom of the stairs is haunting. Oh, yes, the Phil! Barb! Answer me! Yeah, Olivia Hussey gets overlooked a lot because, again, Black Christmas, it didn't spawn a franchise. I mean, I know there are 2 remakes, but I mean in terms of sequels. But one is coming. Just saying. Unofficially, but still. So I would say that, yes, I mean, her performance was good. I mean, it's overlooked a lot because obviously it's a cult film and it's niche-y. I would even say that Jessica Biel's performance in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake was very good, and I think gets overlooked a lot too. I think she was terrific in that. Especially when shit began to hit the fan and she was trying to, she saved herself and all that. I thought it was terrific. I thought it was great. Very underrated. And the rain that's teeming down and there's a lot of great stuff with Jessica Biel's character in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. So I would say that was great. My favorite final girl performance, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I like Olivia Hussey. I've liked her more and more now ever since I've watched the movie a lot, but I've been watching it a lot more than I normally would have since doing It's Me, Billy. So it's grown on me even more than it already has. So certainly that's up there. Heather Langenkamp, I think from the original Elm Street is really important. I think she was great in that. Her role in Elm Street 3 was fine, but it was more of, I mean, the third movie was really focused on the Dream Warriors, the kids, right? And rightly so. And Heather Langenkamp's Nancy in Elm Street 3 was sort of, a supporting character rather than being the star. And it's not like she didn't have some cool moments in the movie. She did, and she was with them at the end. And but I think I prefer her in the first Elm Street. She's more vulnerable in that movie, I think. There needs to be a vulnerability to Final Girls. And then, obviously they their arc is going from somewhat vulnerable to strength. And yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, you cannot, but I don't know if Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode is my favorite final girl, but certainly she's one of the classic ones, one of the originals, of course. Yeah. And I think in some ways, even Mark Patton, when you look at, Elm Street 2 being a final guy, which you don't see a lot of, his performance was good. His performance was good. And it was believable, and the whole subtext of the movie and it's, but yeah, certainly for me, my final girls, yeah, I'd say Heather Langenkamp, Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, and Olivia Hussey and Jessica Biel. I think Jessica Biel's performance in Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake as a final girl, I think gets overlooked. I really do. Let me see on the super chats here. That was a good one. Sucks Films. Reese Wilson, Reese, my man, sends in a $14.99 super chat and says, when I was a kid, I loved Halloween 5. Hey, that's cool. How naive I was to its many flaws. I can't even watch it with rose-tinted glasses as an adult anymore. A lot of things are like that, There's a lot of movies that I've watched as a kid where I'll watch now, as an adult, and I'm like, yeah, you know what one for me is? Funny enough, and I still like this movie, and Barry, if you're watching from overseas, Barry's going to be upset. But, because obviously his Wolfman's Got Nards is his name, and he's a big fan of the Monster Squad. I really liked the Monster Squad as a kid. Really liked it. And I watched it for the first time in many years, probably 20-something years, a couple years ago. I own it. I have it, because, it's one of those movies you grew up with, right? But when I was watching it for the first time in years, I was like, yeah, it's okay. Like, I like this movie. It's fine. But it's not, I didn't like it as much as I remembered. I was like, I don't think it's awful. I mean, it's not like Halloween 5, right? It's not like your experience with 5, but it's just one of those movies, and I think there's probably a lot of those movies. Like, I remember as a kid, I was a big fan of Howard the Duck. Now I'm not saying that Howard the Duck was a great movie. No, it got panned by critics. Everybody hated it, blah, blah, blah. But as a kid, I really liked Howard the Duck. And I have Howard the Duck, and I see it's on Netflix now too. Now, I haven't watched Howard the Duck in quite a few years. So I'm planning on watching Howard the Duck very soon, and I will be interested to know, or I'll be interested to see how I feel at the end of it. Yeah, I'll leave that to 8-year-old me, or something like that, So, but there's a lot of movies that are like that, I don't know if there's a movie that I've watched that I loved and then I watched and I hated. I'd have to think more on that, but that's fun. That's interesting. That's interesting. Let me see here. Oh yeah, Tom Ungurian says, really, Dave? No Nev? Oh yeah, Nev Campbell too. Yep. No, she's a great final girl. But she doesn't necessarily get overlooked. She's like probably at the top of people's food chains. But certainly yes, Nev Campbell, 100%. She's up there too. Absolutely. You cannot not have Nev Campbell up there. She's absolutely up there for sure. Sydney. Hello, Sydney. Rio Reveal sends in a super chat. Let me go back here and see if I can go back to the other screen and get it. There we are. Rio Reveal says, what are your thoughts if the TIFF 2020 lineup? I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at it yet. I've been waiting to look at it, and I haven't looked at it yet. So I still have to look at that, and I will, maybe on the next show, I'll give you my thoughts. But I've not looked at it yet, so I still got to do that. Let's see, Super Chad from Intel Wild. Thank you, buddy. Says, Dave, I know about It's Me, Billy, but I'm sure there are some people in the chat room new here and might not. Could you please give us a brief explanation of the campaign? Yes, well, the campaign, It's Me, Billy, is a high production value Black Christmas fan film that I am in, pretty much pre-production on. We're doing it simultaneously with the campaign with my buddy Bruce, who I've known for nearly 30 years, who also works in the film industry here in Toronto, and we are putting together a Black Christmas fan film, a short film that is a direct sequel, although unofficial, to the original Black Christmas from 1974. And we are very excited about this. We are assembling a team of professionals working in the film industry, and our goal is to shoot this thing like a real film. And I want myself and Bruce, we wanted to do this for the first time in our lives. Working in the in the entertainment and film industries here, we have access to certain resources and connections that we can utilize, which we haven't utilized to our full potential ever. Because he's been busy doing his thing in the film industry. I've been busy doing my thing, and we decided to let's really do this. Let's really do this. So we're taking this very seriously. I mean, this is no shooting on your DSLR in your backyard with your friends kind of thing. This is a legit production that we're putting together. So we're very excited about that. But of course, naturally, when you make a movie like this, or when you step into that world at that level, it costs a lot of money, even for a short film. So we do have an Indiegogo campaign to the It's Me Billy campaign. We have a campaign to the It's Me Billy campaign, whatever. The link is in the description, of course, to that. And we are looking to raise $60,000 Canadian, about $45,000 US. And we've raised about close to 70%. Well, including the It's Me Billy-a-thon, I think we're just over 70% of our production budget now, with about 3 weeks left to go. So realistically, I know that hitting our target is probably not probable at this point. But if we can get maybe another 10 grand in the pocket in terms of the budget, that would be great. We'd be in a very good spot for sure. So that's what it is. And you guys are helping to make this a reality. You are helping to make this a reality, and we couldn't be more excited about it. Because it's true. I mean, that's not just cliche, shit. I mean, that's true. Without you and without your contributions and your love and support, this wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be possible. It costs a lot of money to, hire the crew and to rent the cinematic cameras and to rent all the, the lighting and grip gear and the actors and and of course there's insurance and there's, locations and there's insurance on the truck rentals, but there's production insurance and there's a lot of stuff to go over, and I love every minute of it. I love every minute of it, but it's intense, and it's tedious. It's very intense work, and but that is what it is. That's what it is. Thank you, Intel, for asking that, of course, because you're right. Sometimes people, not everybody tunes into every show I do, and I even had somebody the other day who was like, "What's this It's Me Billy thing?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's holy shit, right?" Not everybody, knows about it, and not everybody cares about it either, right? I mean, we have to be honest about that too. But hopefully more people will care about it than not, and will help contribute to the campaign as well. You also have to remember that if you don't find any of the perks interesting, or maybe you've already bought 2 or 3 perks and you're like, well, I really don't want to buy any more, you can also give a donation as well, right? As little as like $1 or $2. If you're on your desktop, you just hit the back it link or back it button, I believe. If you're on your phone, you scroll to the end of the perks and you'll see a make a donation button with 2 pink shaking hands. And you can click on that and make a donation. Anything is greatly appreciated. Anything. So thank you, Intel, for mentioning that. Really appreciate it, buddy. Let's see here. Let's scroll down. Let's see. Let's get somebody. Let me see here. Lots of people in the chat room. Some people I haven't seen before, which is always great. Jason Lawson says, I like Tommy in part 6 of The Final Guy. I don't think the girl was people take you. I don't think the girl was people take you the final girl, but she never battled Jason. Okay, so you like Tommy in part 6. You consider him a bit of a final guy. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I could see that, just a little bit. I didn't think the girl was people take you the final girl, but she never battled Jason. I'm sorry, Jason. I'm not quite understanding what you're saying. At me again and try again, maybe. Throw a couple commas in there. Maybe it might help. I'm not quite sure what you're asking, but definitely I can see some. Listen, a lot of people like Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle, so much so that they wanted Paul Rudd to come back to play Tommy in this new timeline, which I think would have been ridiculous. It's unnecessary. Because again, it wouldn't have been the same Tommy Doyle. It would have only been the same actor, because Halloween 6 doesn't exist. That never happened. It never happened. People sometimes forget that, right? That Halloween 18, all the other Halloween movies never happened. They did not happen. There is no such thing as a person named Jamie Lloyd. Didn't happen. But you could bring them in. Well, yes, you could bring them in, but they would have no memory or recollection of any of the past events. So you're emotionally attached to the character that you know and love and you grew up with and you saw go through these events. You fell in love with these characters because you rooted for them, you cheered for them, you cared for them because they went through these events. So, but if you bring Jamie Lloyd back, even Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd, she's only Jamie Lloyd by name only. Because the other events never happened, and then somebody might say, well, why don't you make them canon again? Yeah, but then that just convolutes everything. And now you have to retcon shit that you said in 18 and it's just, you don't want to oversaturate things unnecessarily in a Halloween movie because that's where you start, you know what I'm saying? So, when people were like, oh, come on, Paul Rudd, I was like, who cares? It's not even the same time. He would have no recollection of anything that ever happened in 6. Ever. That never happened. He wasn't some crazy guy that lived across the street that was, peeping Tom on the girl that lived in the Myers house. He wasn't, on his computer looking at shit. There was no Thorn, this, nothing. He's completely different. So if you liked him in that movie and that's why you like that character, it's like, oh, cool, that guy's back. Well, no, that guy isn't back. He's not back. It's just, you just hired the same actor to play a different version of the character. So, and then that doesn't even mean that new version that Paul Rudd would be playing the same kind of character, because Tommy Doyle in Halloween 6 was a specific kind. He had been through stuff, right? His character, the way he was being portrayed because he was a specific type of person. Well, he may not be that person in 18. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, that's not the same Tommy Doyle. Well, no, it's not. It's a different version of Tommy Doyle, just played by the same guy. So that's why I've always been like, you got to remember those things where it's like, it might be fun to have them back for nostalgia because it's the same actor, but it's not the same character. And that's why you fall in love with them. It's not just because of the actors. You fall in love with the characters, So that's how I feel about it anyway. Let me see here. Super chats came in. Thank you so much, people. David Lee Barron says, just saw Fuller House where Danny took a violent shit in Stephanie's room. It's like he was on a mission to purposely take a shit in her room. That's what I'm talking about. If folks, if you don't know what David Lee Barron is talking about, there was a channel or a video on my channel where I talked about this, and it was just kind of funny. So yeah. Anyways, you'll have to just YouTube Dave McCrae, Danny Tanner, and the video will pop up. I can't even, it's just too funny. I've never laughed so much in my life. Cobra Dojo, £2 super chat. Thank you. Says, Dave, you've hired Hussey, haven't you? I will not say anything. And that's not me saying yes. That's not me saying yes. That's not me saying no. Okay. So don't read too much into that. I'm just saying I can't say anything at the moment. We'll just say that. But that don't take that to the bank, okay? You've been warned. David Irwin says, what's your favorite Olivia Hussey performance besides Black Christmas? Well, I mean, she was great as Mother Teresa, of course. I mean, fantastic, actually. And the way they did her up it didn't even look like Olivia Hussey, which is great. And then, of course, I mean, I know everybody points to, everybody's like, what about Psycho 4? She was the mom. And it's like, yeah, I didn't like the movie, though. I don't really care about that. Of course, she was in, the miniseries It as well, albeit briefly, but she was sort of she had actually a briefly, but an important role in that miniseries. And of course, she's most well known for her role when she was 15 years old as Juliet in Romeo and Juliet in 1967 or 8, somewhere around there, which I have not seen, but I've seen clips. I've YouTube clips, and I mean, just so magnetic. I mean, she was such a beautiful young woman, and still is very attractive today. And but there's a lot of other things that she's been in bit parts in TV series before. I think she was on Boy Meets World as a bit part. She's been on a lot of stuff. But I would say that my favorite is Black Christmas, but that's not necessarily her best performance. That's just because I really like that movie. But I would say out of everything that I've seen, and there's others too. Yeah, it's hard to say. because she's never been a leading lady per se. She's just shown up in important supporting roles a lot. So I did see the Mother Teresa movie. I got to say, I did really like that. I liked her performance in that. I thought she was fantastic. So I'll go with that. I'll go with that one for now. Anyway, I'll have to look it up and see if there's others I've seen. Chris Baber. Thank you, Chris. What are your thoughts if they, H5, actually landed Howard Stern, used a better mask, and beat Tina with a shovel in her face, or just not had Tina in the movie? Well, I did a MCRAE Live, about a month or so ago, where I talked about my idea, what I would have done as a sequel to Halloween 4. So just YouTube Dave McCrae Halloween 5. There's going to be a bunch of stuff that come up, but look for the MCRAE Live episode where I talk about sort of what I would have done, and listen to that. And maybe you'll get a good kick out of that. Because I think I've improved it. I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased, but I think I have improved it. So, yeah. But Howard Stern, yeah, I don't think that would... Listen, it wouldn't have made it better, because the overall story is still the same. Man in Black and, and everything else is just, yeah. I mean, anytime you have a bad mask, a bad Michael Myers mask, and you put a better Michael Myers mask in its place, it will improve the movie. It will improve the movie because it's part of the brand. It's part of the identity. However, if everything else remains the same, it's short-lived because, it'll always end up being, well, the mask was great, but you know what I mean? So, yeah, hit Tina in the shovel with a face. That's great. Wayne Gotke sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Wayne. Says, Dave, what was more dangerous in Halloween 5? Michael Myers or the idea that every character could have contracted tetanus and lockjaw walking around in that death trap that was the Myers house? That's a good point. Oh, that Myers house is terrible. Yeah, it's just terrible. I just don't well, no, I do know because I've watched the documentary and I've watched the behind the scenes and there was somebody should have stepped in. That's incompetence. Somebody should have stepped in and said, listen, the Myers house doesn't look like this. These aren't one-off movies that are not connected. These aren't fan films. These aren't anthology pieces. It's not an alternate universe. It's not a remake. There's no excuse for the house looking like that. I know the story. I know what the director wanted, how he saw his movie, and I get all that, but that should never have been allowed to take place. Never, ever. Somebody should have stepped in and said, listen, Dominic, I know you, I get it. I hear what you're saying, but that's not what the Myers house looks like. We haven't seen the Myers house since Halloween 2. Okay. This doesn't look anything like the Myers house. Nothing. Somebody needed to step in and say, no, it doesn't have to be the Myers house. Cause at that time they probably, they couldn't shoot there. It doesn't have to look identical, but it's got to look at the very least what the Myers house looked like in Halloween 6. It doesn't look like the Myers house, but you believe it. You go, okay, yeah, that looks like a little kind of wart. Okay, sure. Right? Now, maybe we're a little more forgiving of the Myers house in H6 because of the shit show we got in H5. And maybe, in comparison to the house in H5, well, yeah. I mean, it's a massive improvement, in Halloween 6. Whereas maybe if that was our first look at maybe if that had been the house in part 5, it's possible we still would have been like, what? That's not the Myers house, because we only have one thing to compare it to. But still, my point, still stands that it doesn't, why would you, again, I know why, but somebody needed to step in and say, we can't do that. That's not it doesn't make any sense. Can you imagine if they did that to the Elm Street house? Now look, the Myers Fred heads and Elm Street fans would never have put up with it. Would never have put up with that. Can you imagine if Elm Street 4 rolls around and all of a sudden that's the Elm Street house? You'd be like, the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. You never would have put up with it. So anyway, yeah, just an awful, awful thing. I've never, it's always been, it's not even close. Yes, it's a cool house. Yes, it's an awesome looking house. It's amazing. The house is amazing. It is genuine. Like, I mean that. It's amazing. And to shoot there and the corridors and the halls and the castle type. Yeah, it's cool looking, man. And the iron gate, opening it up. And yes, it's awesome. But it's not the Myers house. It's not the Myers house. Nobody's arguing that it's a dog shit house. It's a great looking fucking house for another movie, for another story. You know what I mean? I mean, put that house in It. Well, boom, there you go. Great. You know, like, or put it in some sort of another haunted house movie or something. Great. But the Myers house? No. Mr. Bates sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, Dave, if you're into psychological horror films, check out The House That Jack Built. I think you'll like it. I have seen a trailer for that, and I have been meaning to check that out, so I will do so. David Lee Barron says, you should have a sound button where you say, to find Chucky. Oh, yeah, to find Chucky. You doll? Chucky did it. You doll? You're right. I should. I absolutely should. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, which movie killed the franchise more, Halloween 5 or Bride of Chucky? Oh, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen Bride of Chucky in a long time, so I can't really answer that. I'm going to say Halloween 5 just because I haven't seen Bride of Chucky in a long time. So yeah, I'll have to, but that's not really an accurate. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Gal Ford's dog says, Dave, I haven't seen Halloween 2 through 5 since I was in high school. For a minute there, I was like, you haven't seen Halloween 2? No, it goes on. I haven't seen Halloween 2 through 5 since I was in high school. I turned 32 yesterday. Well, happy belated birthday. And I'm getting a digital projector and a cinema-sized movie screen to rewatch them. I'm an H1 purist too. Amazing! Very cool stuff, my man. That is cool. You'll have to let us know what you think on another episode. Let's see here. Cobra Dojo sends in a £5 super chat. It says, Dave, ever think it's weird Jamie was adopted by the Carruthers rather than a family member from the Strodes? Yeah, I mean, maybe. Not really. Not really, because I think we don't know if we're thinking about this seriously. Yes, did Lori's did Lori's parents have brothers and sisters, which would have been Lori's aunts, which would have been Jamie's great aunt? Were their cousins? But Lori had a sister and she was killed. So Lori doesn't have any extended family. Like, I don't think Lori has a brother. Like, so Lori has a sister, Judith. She was killed. Lori has a brother named Michael, who's a mass murderer. So she's not going to be adopted by Michael, and she can't be adopted by Judith. Did Lori have another sibling we're not aware of? Or unless you mean extended family, like a cousin or a great aunt or a great uncle or something, because that's where you'd have to go, because we know that Lori's siblings, we know what happened to her siblings, right? So I don't think so. And it's never mentioned if there is an extended family. I mean, there probably is. Most people have some sort of extended family, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmothers. Yeah. But because it's never mentioned and it's never focused on, yeah, it doesn't really bother me. She was, her parents were killed and she was put into the adoption system and she was adopted by, the Carruthers. So, I mean, yeah, no, didn't really bother me. And I think it's because it's not mentioned. If they had set up, if they had set up that Lori had extended family and there was aunts and uncles and they were mentioned a few times, well then, yeah, it might be kind of strange. That might be kind of strange, but not right now. Not right now. I don't think it's strange. Let me see here. Okay. Bobby Reynolds sends in a $5 super chat and says, did you know that The Mask is getting 2 more sequels with Jim Carrey returning? I did not know that. 2 more? Jim Carrey return. Okay, is this Jim Carrey returning to be all or just me doing that? Or is this like a passing of the torch? Like Jim Carrey's like the dad. I hate when they do shit like that. I hope it's the dad. He has a son, and the son picks up the mask. And they already had like some straight to VHS movie called Son of the Mask or something anyway. So I don't even know if that's what they're doing. Or is Jim Carrey like the lead? Like he's the prominent figure? I'll have to look that up after the show. Thank you, Bobby, for mentioning that. I did not know about that. Did not know about that at all. Nick Kunda sends in a very generous super chat. Thank you, Nick. Says, hey, Dave, got inspired to write an Elm Street short fan film surrounding a college freshman living by himself for the first time, being tormented by Freddy, since I myself am moving to college soon. That's right. I remember you mentioning that, I think. Very cool, man. Very cool. We'll write it down, and just hold on to it because you never know. Maybe you'll turn it into something. That's really cool indeed. Let me see here. Darren Sand says, I think you may have missed Cobra Dojo's $5 super chat. Oh, did I? Did I miss one? Let me see here. Thank my moderators are on top of it. Love it. They do great work here. The Jamie Lee Curtis, the Jamie Carruthers thing. Maybe that was the one. I don't see any others. Maybe you're referring to that one. I know I was a little late on getting to it, but I did get it. Maybe that was the one you were talking about. Let me see here. David Irwin says, Dominic, yes, oh yeah, Authentian. I think actually you have, is that how you spell his last name? Because I think it's actually Othenian or something like that. It's like a, how do you say his name here? Dominic Othenian Gerard. Yeah, it's Othenin. Othenin. Dominique Othenian Gerard, I believe is how you say his name. Has a lot to answer for. He indeed does. He indeed does. Let me see here. A couple more super chats came in. Jerp Pin sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, I just want to hear the But Dave on your soundboard. Thanks. Sure, buddy. All right, here you go. But Dave. There you are, my man. Cobra Dojo sends in a $2, £2 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Cobra. Thank you, buddy. Dave, you have to watch Dead End with Ray Wise. Okay, I've never heard of this. I will look into it and check it out. I will do my best to check it out anyway. Let's see here. Josh McGrath says, Dave, you've been recruited to direct Scream 5. What's the story? And do you bring back Nev, Courtney, and David? And most of all, do you make it scary? Well, to answer the last part of that, yes, of course you make it scary. Yes, I do bring back Nev, Courtney, and David. And what's the story for Scream 5? I think it should be out of Woodsboro. Is that the name of the town, I think? Take it out of there. Nev is living a quiet life. She's moved on. She's finally really happy with her life. And something begins to happen in the town where she is now. So it's like it follows her. Maybe that's something that I would explore. That would be like a treatment, or not even a treatment, just notes, jotting down notes. Now that could evolve, but that would be what I would do. Like off the top of my head, okay, yes, yeah, but then by the end of it, by the end of my notes, by the end of some reworking, I mean, maybe I don't have Nev in there. Maybe I don't have Courtney or David back. But off the top of my head, that's where I start because they're the heart of the franchise. So that's where I start. I start sort of there. Okay, Nev, David, Courtney, yes. Do I want it to take place in the same town? I mean, Jesus, is this, how many times does this have to happen? And I would say, okay, no, let me just think here. Maybe Nev is living somewhere. She's finally safe, secure from the events of part 4. She's married. She's got a couple of kids. Those kids are maybe young, not teenagers, obviously, but they're maybe like 7 and 8, or something like that. And maybe I'm all about the isolation in the mood. Maybe Nev goes on a I'm not saying that this would actually happen, but maybe, Nev, because me, I always want to go out on a high note, right? So I would look at Scream 5 as the potential of being like the last. And maybe Nev It is Nev. And again, all this off the top of my head here. This is what I'd be writing down, jotting down as notes, not a script, not a screenplay, not even a treatment, just jotting down some notes, some ideas, and then you work that into, a treatment or, whatever. But I would say that, so she's living somewhere else. She's not in the town anymore. She's married. She's got a couple of kids. She's happy. There is no drama going on in her marriage. There is no drama going on. And she's happy. And she goes on a family vacation with these kids, but it's like a camping trip up to like a cabin in the woods or something like that. But she's up there with her family and she brings some friends up. Maybe it's a joint family thing. Maybe there's a couple other friends and there's like these cabins and there, and something begins to happen up there, and like, again, I'm not saying that's exactly what I would do, but that's sort of off the top of my head. Can I use the isolation of this to, and it's different, you know what I mean? It's something we haven't seen before in a Scream movie, and then maybe Courtney gets involved in there somehow. Maybe Courtney and I don't know, maybe they're friends now and I don't know. And something like that. Like it needs to be fleshed out, but that's sort of what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking of the atmosphere in that kind of environment, the mood in that kind of environment, taking Scream. Yes. But then again, at the same time, I realize that you don't want to remove the identity of the Scream franchise because it is still self-aware, it's still spoofy-ish, it's still, you don't want to turn it into a complete serious horror film because that might actually rub some people the wrong way. But maybe it's more serious than we've ever seen it. But still, there's some nice moments in there where it feels like Scream, and you isolate them, and it's like, what is Ghostface doing up here? Who is this? What's going on? Of course, I'd have to fill in that backstory to figure out what that would be. Like that's a start. That's a start. Listen, by the end of the jotting down the notes, and by the time we get to a first draft of a screenplay, it could not be happening in the woods in a cabin on a vacation. Like, that could not be happening at all. We could be back in Woodsboro, and that's where it's taking place. But instinctually, I'm like, can we how do we build on this? And really make it frightening, and interesting for the audience in the sense of what's, of course you have to have a legit backstory that makes sense, that's cohesive, that isn't just shoehorned in there. You don't want to just put them up in I know movies like this have been done, isolation movies in the cabin, or up in a campsite, or not a campsite, because you don't want to Friday the 13th it. You don't want to Friday the 13th it. You don't want to run that risk of making it feel more Friday the 13th than Scream, which is why, you have to, it really is, you got to be careful. But like, take the movie Hush, for example, right? Hush was an isolation movie up in the middle of nowhere in a house. And you didn't really feel Friday the 13th. If anything, you felt more Michael than Friday the 13th. So maybe it's a house instead of a cabin, right? They're up in isolation. There's like a house or something, that they have, or, maybe it's just a rural area and just think about like what could happen here? What's the story? Where has she been? Where has Sidney Prescott been? Where is she in her life right now? What are the odds? How does Ghostface fit into this? Is it just, somebody took their love of horror movies too far again? It's fucking like Pennywise there from 1990. But it's true, right? Like, are we doing that again? Somebody took their love of horror movies again too far? Like, what is the story? How can we advance this that's still honoring Scream, that's still being true to Scream, but is different and makes you go, this is really cool. This is Scream. It feels like Scream, but this definitely feels like we're moving. This is cool. Like, this is cool. That's how I would. Yeah, Frank Riker, Marty Moose. That's me. You're right. That was a bit of Marty Moose there. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, that's how. If you asked me, that's where I would start, and that doesn't mean that that's where I would end. But that's where I feel like I want to start. So hopefully that answered that for you. All right, we'll go. We'll take this to 12:30 today. Another 13 minutes or so. Let me see here. Oh, did I get the last? I think I did. Yes, I got that. Cobra Dojo says, Dead End is a Christmas horror movie. Check it out on IMDb. You'll love it, Dave. Trust me. Okay, I will. Thank you very much, buddy. Robert Kitzmiller says, if you were to hire Shia LaBeouf for a film, what kind of role would you want him to play? Shia LaBeouf's a great actor. That's a great question, by the way. He's a great actor. He's a dick, you know, or he can be a dick. He's been through a lot, obviously, and he's had that rebellious stage. Hopefully he's out of that, and because he's a fine actor. I would have him in most anything that he feels passionate and committed to, because he's a good actor. You know, I mean, as long as he's going to show up on set and he's not going to be a liability, I would have him in most anything. You know, that suits him, obviously. You know, yeah, I like him a lot as an actor. I always have. Of course, he got in, like I said, he got into that dickish phase. I don't know if he's really even fully out of it, but certainly he's a really good actor. You know, Amar Alagic or Alagic? Alagic. I think I'm saying that right. Sorry, buddy, if I'm not. Have you seen Harper's Island? Really good. I have not seen Harper's Island. A lot of good mentions here of some movies that I'll have to look into and check out. Let me see here. Jason Nike. Jason, my man. Good to see you here, Jason. Sends in a super chat and says, can't stay long, just saying hi. Thank you very much, Jason. Really appreciate that. One of my great moderators here on the channel. Appreciate that very much. Sean Urshen? Am I saying that correct? The man that made a difference 7 times before is back again to boo this time, but this time it's different. I'm lost. Maybe that's I guess you're talking to somebody else in the chat, but I'm not quite sure who you're talking about. I don't really know. Gary Rangel says, Dave, when it comes to sequels in the original film, Dave, when it comes to sequels to the original films, the same filming locations seem to be more strict with budget. Why does that tend to happen when sequels don't stay in that same location? Wait a minute, let me try this. Dave, when it comes to sequels to the original films, the same filming locations seem to be more strict with budget. Why does that tend to happen when sequels don't stay in the same location? I'm not quite sure I understand your question, Gary. What do you mean that sequels to the original film, that filming locations seem to be more strict with budget? The same filming locations seem to be more strict with budget? I'm just not quite sure I understand your question. See if anybody can help Gary out here. If you do understand exactly what he's saying. I'm not quite sure what you mean, Gary. Yeah. Tabitha Short. Hey, Tabitha. Great to see you here as well. One of my great moderators and supporters of the channel. Sounds like the theatrical release. Wait a minute. Sounds like the theatrical release for H5. Yeah, that's a good point. Evil Alex says, how was your NES weekend? What are your favorite NES games? Oh, that's right. Yeah, my girlfriend and I were like, you know, we should see if we can get our hands on an NES and just play some old games, you know, because I obviously don't have it anymore. And that was our era, of course, for video games: Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. And I had Nintendo and then Sega. I found that kids, like, everybody had a Nintendo, and then Super Nintendo came in and Sega Genesis came in, or Sega came in. And I found that kids some kids had both, but I found that there were a lot of kids that after Nintendo, you either went Super Nintendo or you went Sega. And I went the Sega route only because I wanted to play their NHL hockey, because their NHL hockey was like, oh my God, this looks so, now it looks archaic, but in 1992 and 93 and 94, it looked amazing. You know, it was the best hockey game ever made. EA Sports. It's in the game. For you guys who played that, know what I'm talking about. I think they still say that at the beginning of their stuff. Oh, are we still on here? We are still on. There's a bit of hiccup there. So I I was always a big fan of that, but big fan of Nintendo. Didn't play Super Nintendo as much. My girlfriend played Nintendo and Super Nintendo a lot. So we decided to go to a retro gaming store here in Toronto and see if we can pick one up. So we went over, and I had in my mind that I was going to pick up a original Nintendo and pick up all the shit that you need to hook it up to, obviously a smart TV, because obviously it's not the same as it used to be. And I went into the store, and the guy told me about this thing that I had no idea existed called the Retron or something, which is a console that allows you, there's different versions of it, and it's a console, depending on which version you get, you can play like both NES, Super NES, Sega. I think Tony has the one where you can play Sega, Super NES, and NES. They have different cartridge slots for those games. And I was like, I didn't get the one where so I bought a Retron 2, I think it's called. And it allows you to play NES and Super NES. So that's what I did. And they had an NES there, like an old school NES there, but he was like, for a fraction of the cost, you can get this, and it's new, and it does play the games. And, I was like, yeah, let's just do that. Like, at the end of the day, it's cool. Like, as my girlfriend said to me, she said, it's cool having the original Nintendo, and that's cool in and of itself. But it's the games that give you the nostalgia at the end of the day. Like, it's cool having that, but at the end of the day, once the novelty wears off of having the original Nintendo in the corner of the room, because it's going to wear off. It's going to blend in with everything else eventually. It's the games, right? It's the games that you want. It's the old school 8-bit, Mario Brothers. You know what I mean? So as long as it looks the same and it plays out the same, which it does, I was cool with it. So yeah, so we bought Super Mario 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Deja Vu, which was a game I used to play with my brother, which we were trying to solve, which is really, really cool. And we bought Donkey Kong for Super NES as well, because that was one of my girlfriend's favorite games way back in the day. And I think that's it. I think that's all we bought to start. So I'll head back to the gaming store probably, eventually, and pick up a couple others as well. But we thought that was good to start, because it was still, a few $100 that we were spending, because they add up. Because these things now, like, I think the Super Mario 3 costs like $40 or something. It's used, but it costs like $40 or something. I'm like, the fuck? But it's because we're in the, 15 years ago, I probably could have gotten Mario, and I probably still can today, but you probably could have got that for like $10, you know what I mean? But now nostalgia's big business now. It's huge business. And everybody, they're like fucking, like relics now, these old games. So it's kind of funny. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I almost paid, this is almost full price. Anyway, kind of fun, but definitely, yeah, I had a lot of fun for sure. It was awesome. Let's see here. Super chat comes in from Cobra Dojo. Thank you very much again, buddy. Says, Dave, H2O or I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? Oh, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Any day of the week. Over H2O for me, yeah. I'd have to say so. And I'm not saying that I know. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. You said I still know what you did last summer. Excuse me. I thought you said I know what you did last summer. I haven't seen I Still Know What You Did Last Summer probably since, I don't know. It's been probably 20 years. Again, H2O is one of those movies that I don't particularly like as a whole. But I like H5. I like it more than I like H5 as a whole. But certainly, I don't know, because I haven't seen I Still Know What You Did Last Summer in so long. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I know it's not very good, and I know I didn't like it as much as the first one. So, I don't know. I'd have to watch that movie. So right now, I'd probably say H2O, but I'm not a fan of H2O really either. But yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good one. I should watch I Still Know. I think Tony and I are going to do it on the show eventually. Grant Newell. Hey, Dave, Chucky got a new movie called Charles. Yes, there's a fan film. That's right, a fan film that has been in... They've been in post-production for quite some time. I don't think it's been released, but you're right. It's called Charles. That's right. And the trailers are online for that. So, and it does look good. Looks pretty good. Looks interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing it for sure. Gary Rangel. Here we go. Gary says, I was talking like I was talking like Halloween 5 was shot in Pasadena. I was talking like Halloween was shot in Pasadena, California, but later films, they weren't allowed to shoot there anymore. Well, you can always shoot in Pasadena. You're allowed to shoot in Pasadena. They shoot films there all the time. I think what it just could have been that, I think what you're trying to say is, yes, there are some locations or some states that give better tax breaks. It can be very expensive to shoot in Los Angeles. So it can be cheaper to shoot in Salt Lake City, Utah, which of course where they shot those movies. It can be cheaper to shoot in Atlanta, Georgia. It's cheaper to shoot up here in Canada because of our dollar, right? You see, our dollar is only about 73 cents to the US dollar. So, it's a lot cheaper, right? So the US dollar goes further up here. And there's all sorts of tax breaks and, reimbursements and all that kind of stuff too. So yes, that is why it's very, very, now I know that Los Angeles is trying to remedy that because they realize that a lot of the work is going elsewhere. Most productions don't shoot in LA anymore. So, and there's a variety of reasons for that. And one of the big reasons being, of course, cost. So, and I know that LA was trying to remedy that, trying to lure productions back and to stay in Los Angeles. Now, of course, it depends on your story, right? If your story doesn't, call for a, desert-like palm tree setting. If you calls for New York or the Midwest or whatever, then yeah, if your movie is shooting on location, you want to be in the environment as much as you can of said, of what is in the story. So, if the story calls for, New York in the winter, well, then it's always probably in your best interest and advantage. It's best for you as the crew and the production and your actors to be in New York, shooting, if you can do that, because it's the environment, it's the smell, it's actually only, 20 degrees out and, all that kind of stuff. Right. So, but that's why ultimately is that it can be expensive. And if you're not a big budget movie and your budget is only $10 million, then it becomes extra expensive, So, definitely. There's all sorts of reasons, but obviously money and budget is one. But it's not that they're not allowed to film in Pasadena. You're allowed to film in Pasadena, but it might just cost you a lot more to film in Pasadena. And you may not get the perks that you get shooting in Salt Lake City or shooting in Toronto or shooting wherever, right? Wherever else. Okay, let's see here. It is 12:30, but let me get these super chats here. Victor Charlie sends in a super chat. Thank you, Victor. Says, hey, Dave, my favorite moment in Halloween 5 is right after Michael Myers slashes Dr. Loomis and starts back up the stairs to Jamie. The music beat was very tense there. So that's right. Oh, I think I do know what you're talking about. I do know the scene I'll have to check it out again because I do think I know the scene you are talking about. I'll have to check that out again. Let me see here. Super chat from Cobra Dojo says Michael Douglas or Harrison Ford better actor. That's a good question. I don't know. Harrison Ford is the more iconic actor in terms of the two roles that he's had. Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford has moved past the threshold of Hollywood star to icon. Well, so has Michael Douglas, but Harrison Ford has embedded himself into pop culture, into the pop culture superstardom. And that's just basically thanks to Star Wars and Indiana Jones. He's a great actor, though. He's not the best actor, Harrison Ford, obviously, but he's better than people give him credit for. I know there's a lot of people that, listen, he's dry, he's introverted, and that's how he's always been. Now people make fun of him because they always imitate him like this, like he's a grumpy old man. But you watch interviews with Harrison Ford 40 years ago, and he was always very much like, well, I think I think the character is, he's always been like that. He's an introverted, shy. One of the reasons why he decided to take an acting class in college was to help his shyness. He said that it was to help his shyness. He thought it was a great way to meet girls, and well, the rest is history. But he's always been an introverted sort of person. He's not, he's got a dry sense of humor. So it's just who he is. But I think he's a better actor than people give him credit for. And he's one of the last, classic Hollywood stars, I think. We don't get movie stars like that anymore. And certainly don't get, he comes from an era where, and I'm not just talking about Indiana Jones or Star Wars, but people would go to the theater because it was him. You know what I mean? And we don't get that kind of thing too much anymore. So, and Michael Douglas is a fine actor. And of course, he has a very famous family, with his father being incredibly famous and an iconic golden age of Hollywood actor in Kirk Douglas. So certainly there is that as well. But Michael Douglas is an icon for sure. He's an iconic actor, but I wouldn't say that he's surpassed the threshold into pop culture superstardom like Harrison Ford has. But that's just a matter of roles. That's really not a good litmus test on who's the better actor, because that's just luck. That's just a matter of, well, he just ended up as Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just the luck. And he's a great Indiana Jones, but and Michael Douglas had a bit of an Indiana Jones-ish role in, Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile as well. So, which of course, is not Indiana Jones, but that's a tough one. I think Michael Douglas is probably the better actor, but it's not by leaps and bounds or anything. Frank Riker. Hey, Frank, thank you very much, buddy. Says, for the sexy MFers in the chat. Thank you so much, Frank. Really appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. And David Lee Barron says, who's so special? Oh, sorry. What's so special about the Red camera versus a DSLR camera? Well, it would just be its dynamic range, and the sensor. You know what I mean? I mean, the sensor on a Red is larger, and how it filters in light, and how it's hard to get into here in any great detail. I mean, I'm not a cinematographer, and I have a basic understanding of the cameras, but certainly if I had somebody like Greg Bennett on, who's our DP for It's Me Billy, who's a professional DP, he'd be able to dive into that on a nitty gritty, juicy level. But it's all about the sensor size and the dynamic range of the camera, and how it handles low light. And because, I don't know if depending on what Red you get, it might be a full frame 35 millimeter sensor, or even super 35, but or it might even be that one that's oh God, I forget the name of it now. But anyway, it has to do with the optics of the camera, and the sensor and the lenses and things like that too. I mean, you use different lenses on an Arri or a Red than you would on a just standard DSLR. You couldn't fit them. You know what I mean? So it's just it's all about the quality of the image at the end of the day. And like they shoot, I think Stranger Things is shot on the Red. I don't know what version of the Red, but I think Stranger Things is shot on the Red, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, as a Cliff Notes version, that's really sort of it. I'd have to brush up on it a little bit in detail to go into detail for you, but that would be, I would say that would be probably, that's a good starting point to kind of go, okay, interesting. Okay, let me go look at that. Okay, I don't think I missed any super chats. I think that was the last one from David Lee Barron. Oh, we got one. Cobra Dojo going hard into the paint with a £5 super chat. Says, can you please wish my niece Bonnie a happy 6th birthday for the 18th? Yes, Bonnie. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bonnie. Happy birthday to you. Just send me the invoice, Cobra. I'm just kidding. Happy birthday to Bonnie. Have a great day. Celebrate with lots of love and family and toys. And I think you will have a wonderful day. So yeah, that's going to do it for me, folks, on episode 90 of MCRAE Live. We are 10 away from the big 100. That is amazing. Amazing. Thank you to my moderators, Jason Nike, Darren Sands, Tabitha Short, and Frank the Tank Riker, of course, for doing what you guys do. And thank you to you guys yesterday on as well on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. I saw that there were some issues going on there in the chat. Feel free to send me a message and let me know sort of what was going on there. I was paying attention to the movie, of course, and letting you guys handle that, which of course is great. But if you, I kind of know what exactly happened there. But you guys do a great job. You're always fair from what I can see, and which is amazing. So thank you to that, and thank you to all the super chats. Of course, really appreciate the super chats and you guys supporting the channel on that level. It goes right back into the channel and keeps these shows going. All right. So again, you never say never, but I don't think I will be back for MCRAE Live on Thursday because I have the doctor's appointment, and then Bruce is coming over and we're diving into the shot list for It's Me, Billy. So no MCRAE Live on Thursday, but I'll let you know for sure tomorrow. So I'll be back on Friday morning for MCRAE Live. And yes, It's Me, Billy, folks. Link in the description. Anything you guys can do is greatly appreciated. Let's bring Billy back. 3 weeks left to go in the campaign. Let's see if we can get as close to 50,000 as we possibly can to help make this Black Christmas fan film a reality. You guys are amazing. You know you're amazing. I am out of here. So in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.